They always go the extra mile.
Our customers always come first. Stop in for a new vehicle during the Drive and Discover event. See you at Oz.
Well, a military mistake left dozens of people in the U.S. and South Korea exposed to live anthrax. An Army lab in Utah shipped the potentially deadly agent to labs in 9 states and an Air Force base in South Korea. The samples had been irradiated, a process that typically kills any living spores that could cause the illness. It is not clear what went wrong, but a lab in Maryland reported that one of the samples they received was still active. The good news is that Ohio was not one of the states involved in this.
Yes, but it's a scary possibility. Live anthrax being FedExed to a lab. We're joined now by Dr. Frank Esper, an infectious disease specialist from University Hospital's Case Medical Center. Thank you for joining us. Now, first I have a quick question. Aside from knowing it can be deadly, what is anthrax and what is it used for?
You know, anthrax is actually a very common bacteria that lives in the soil throughout the world. It's fairly rare here in the United States, but we see it in Africa, Southeast Asia, South America. And we actually see it not uncommonly in people throughout the world, but it's not the really bad form of anthrax. Usually they just get really bad sores on their arms, and it's not so bad. What was shipped, though, it was probably, and I'll say this is my guess, is that what was shipped, though, is more research grade anthrax, not weaponized anthrax. That's the bad one. That's the one that we heard about in 2001, 2002, when someone was shipping envelopes filled with white powder and going all over the place. Weaponized anthrax, very, very severe. Yeah, this kind of anthrax, though, is unlikely to be as infectious.
And, Doctor, we did hear that the military's been using it. They kill it off, they irradiate it, and they ship it to other labs so that they can research it. Why do other labs want this? Why would we even be sending this to 9 different states?
Well, just because we don't see it very often doesn't mean that the anthrax itself is not a substantial problem. We do a lot of research just in case there is a bioterrorism event. We need to have good understanding of the types of this bacteria. We look at their genes, we look at their proteins that they make, and sometimes we don't need live bacteria to look at their genes, to look at their DNA. So we can send that to other labs to do those kinds of research, just in case someone does really, really get sick or there is a bioterrorist event. We know how to combat those kinds of strains. We have better medications and better vaccines.
Sure.
Now, doctor, even though the people who were possibly exposed to it are being treated, we're talking about FedEx employees who handled it. Could they not have inhaled it? Is there an incubation period where other people can get exposed?
Yeah. I'm actually not as worried about the FedEx people. While this was basically mislabeled, it was considered to be dead and not live. When we ship infectious materials, and actually FedEx is a commercial carrier that does handle hazardous cargo like this, and they're well trained and they have very good protocols for protection of their delivery people and in delivering these types of materials. You have to understand that what's going on is that this anthrax was probably sealed in a small cryovial, which was then resealed in another bag, which was then resealed in dry ice or in a flask, then resealed again through a box. And so there's usually 4 or 5 different layers of protection. The problem was not so much in the transport. I'm not too worried about this. It's when the people who received this package, thinking it was dead anthrax, opened up the canisters with a protocol that was not ready for live contamination. Right. That's where the exposures were happening, and that's why the people in the labs are the ones who are being evaluated, tested, and sometimes given treatment.
Yeah, Dr. Esper, we appreciate the time. Always a great expert there at UH. Thanks for the time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, taking off your makeup every night can become a chore, but the makers of the Makeup Eraser claim you